Hello, everyone. It's really my pleasure to welcome you on this today webinar on the Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme. My name is Hubert Inhäuser. I'm a technical officer at PEFC International, and I'm really glad to be your host on this long-awaited webinar on the Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme. Let us get started. What we have for today, we have only three items in our program. The first will be an introduction about PEFC International, delivered from my side for those who not that familiar with the PEFC family. And then the main item for today will be a presentation on the Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme. Sorry about the typo on the presentation. And then we will have a questions and answer session at the end after the presentation. So with this short introduction, I would like to give you a bit of details about PEFC. So the acronym stands for Program for the Endorsement of Forest Certification Systems. We are an alliance of independent national forest certification systems under the umbrella of PEFC International. National forest certification systems, which are members of PEFC, are all based on the PEFC sustainability benchmark standards. It's a voluntary mechanism promoting sustainable forest management through independent third-party certification. We are very proud that we are the world's largest forest certification system and provider of 3/4 of the world's certified and sustainably managed forest. Here you can see an overview of our global coverage. It shows our 55 members with 49 endorsed schemes, which covers so far 330 million hectares of forest. And just let us start. The Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme was submitted last year for assessment. There was some need to clarify some of the documentation. That's the reason why we have the webinar today. The assessment will be carried out by an independent assessor yet to be appointed. And it's a part of the assessment, besides this webinar, a 60 days public consultation. So those who are not able to attend our webinar today, or those who are interested to get a more detailed look into the complete documentation of the Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme, this is 60 days is available to do so. It was open today, so on 16th of August, and until 14th of October, the public consultation is open. So all the comments which are submitted to PEFC International during this public consultation will be considered by the assessor in the assessment report. And basically, that would have been my short introduction. And I'm very glad that we have here the Myanmar Forest Certification Committee with us to guide us through their system. And with this, I would like to invite Barbara Chow, the Secretary of MFCC, to guide us through the presentation. Barbara, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much, Uvad. Yeah? So good morning and good afternoon to all participants. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am very glad to see my colleagues in this webinar. In fact, the chairman, Dr. Nini Jo, was scheduled to greet all of you. However, in the last minute, he was compelled to be absent because of an unexpected engagement. However, he let me inform you of his aspiration to PEFC International and PEFC members and all participants. First of all, I thank PEFC for the continued support to enhance Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme to reach international benchmark, and also the forest certification in Myanmar. Although Myanmar has applied own sustainable forest management system for many decades, to be honest, we lag behind in the area of forest certification, even in the Southeast Asia. I also noted Monaco Foundation and IDDO in collaboration with Forestry Agency of Japan have been assisting MFCC to the realization of the objective of MFCS. So I'm going to not leave out those generous donors to convey my honest gratitude. On this occasion, I'd like to stress only three important things. First, MFCC, Myanmar Forest Certification Committee, is doing independently as a national governing body of Myanmar. Second, Forest Department is fully committed to sustainable forest management and forest certification in Myanmar. Third, MFCC will give priority to the public consultation and stakeholder engagement as far as possible, including CSOs, in the developing certified forests in Myanmar. I believe MFCC team headed by Project CEO will be able to convince all participants for the fitness of Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme to the international certification system. All participants will be satisfied with their presentation. Let me finish by saying that the public consultation, this public consultation will be an important milestone for MFCC and Myanmar Forestry Sector. Thank you all. Okay, but so I think the floor will be handed over to CEO, then the Ms. Hubert, yeah?
I'm not sure how you planned it, Barbara, but as who is going to be up next is up to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Babachu, for giving me a chance to say about our preparation. It's a very good morning and good afternoon to you all, and warm greetings from Myanmar. So today is the special day for the MFCC because we are getting a chance to explain about our Myanmar Forest Certification System. As Mr. Hubert already mentioned that MFCC submitted to the PEFC last year, and then we will prepare a lot and wait for this public consultation webinar. My name is Wilai, CEO of the MFCC project. And our secretary, MFCC secretary, also mentioned that we have a long journey. We develop a lot, we work a lot since 1995. According to the situation, we cannot actively work because of the support of the PEFC project, the Monaco Foundation, so we can develop, and also thanks to the Mr. Paul for his very kind support to our project. So we can develop documentation system, we can constitute the third-party independent certification body, and so on, so on, so on. So now is the time to introduce what we already done. And I like to invite Ms. Pyo from our project team, technical officer, to present detail. Please, Ms. Pyo.
Thank you, Mr. Online, for your invitation. Let me share my screen. And can you see my screen, please?
It's perfect.
Yes. And hello, everyone, and good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my presentation. First of all, let me say thank you all for coming here today, and let me introduce myself to you. My name is Ms. Pyo. I did the role of Technical Officer for Sustainable Forest Management at Myanmar Forest Certification Committee. What I would like to present to you today is to introduce the Myanmar National System, focusing on standard setting activities of Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme. Today, I divide my presentation into three main parts. The first one is overview circulation of Myanmar Forest, and the second one is about Myanmar Forest Certification Committee, and the third one is standard development of Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme. My first one concerns with the Myanmar forestry context. Our country, Myanmar, is the largest country in mainland Southeast Asia, and its total land area is 676,577 square kilometers, and its current population is 53.4 million as of 2020. And over 70% of the country total population, who are living in rural areas and are dependent on forest resources for their basic needs. Next, I would like to explain the forest cover status of Myanmar. According to Global Forest Resource Assessment 2020, 42.19% of the total country area are still covered with forests. In Myanmar, forestry is a major source of export earnings, and Myanmar forests are socially and economically significant to the country. Currently, Myanmar has been protecting and conserving its natural resources on a sustainable basis. Next, I would like to explain the forest cover changes in Myanmar. In Myanmar, deforestation was at an alarming rate through the past 3 decades due to various reasons. The forest cover changes between 1990 and 2020 indicates that accelerated rates of deforestation at minus 1.17% to minus 0.96% annually. Through the year 2010 to 2020, forests are changing with the higher rates of deforestation at 0.96% annually. Therefore, Myanmar was among the tropical countries with the 7 higher rates of deforestation between 2010 and 2020. So this table is the forest cover changes in Myanmar according to Global Forest Resource Assessment 2020. Next, I would like to explain the Myanmar forest policy. Forest area and other management of Myanmar Forest Department can be classified into 2 categories, reserve forests and protected public forests. Reserve forest is the best quality, high commercial value, where the public have no harvesting rights, and protected public forest is of low commercial value, more accessible, where the public have some harvesting rights. Protected area is to conserve diverse ecosystem and species richness in Myanmar. Myanmar forest policy targeted to extend reserve forests and protected public forests up to 30% of the total land area, and protected area system up to 10% of the total land area. Now I would like to explain the establishment of permanent forest estate as of forestry in Myanmar 2019 to 2020. In Myanmar, permanent forest estate is called the combination of reserve forests and protected public forests. In 2019, the reserve forest area is 70.77% of land area, and the protected public forest area is 7.72% of land area. So the permanent forest estate area is 25.49% of the land area. As I mentioned in my previous slide, the Myanmar forest policy targeted to extend reserve forests and protected public forests up to 30%, and so the permanent forest estate area as of forestry in Myanmar 2019 to 2020 is 25.49%, and it is nearly 50 to 30% according to Myanmar forest policy. Now let me explain the forest planning framework in Myanmar. Forest management in Myanmar has been developed through the formulation and implementation of short-term, medium-term, and long-term plans. Forest management plan covering the whole country have been formulated in line with the modern forestry concepts. The plans and progress to achieve sustainable forest management as well as biodiversity conservation in Myanmar, which are 30-year National Forest Master Plan, Forestry Sector Comprehensive Development Plan, Myanmar Reforestation and Rehabilitation Plan, Reintroducing Natural Habitats, and 10-year Distinct Forest Management Plan for 68 forest management units. Currently, Myanmar is committed to achieve sustainable forest management through the fulfillment of international commitments, including Sustainable Development Goals. So let me start my first part of the presentation, Myanmar forestry contents. Now I would like to present the second part of my presentation, which is about Myanmar Forest Certification Committee. Firstly, I would like to introduce the chronology of Myanmar Forest Certification Committee. The Myanmar Certification Committee Myanmar was founded in 1998 to consider the sustainability of forests and to assure the international timber trade for the timber products in Myanmar. In 2013, Myanmar Certification Committee Myanmar was renamed into Myanmar Forest Certification Committee. And at that time, Myanmar Forest Certification Committee implemented Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme for Sustainable Forest Management Certification and Myanmar Timber Legality Assurance System for Timber Legality Certification. Between 2016 and 2070, Myanmar Forest Certification Committee implemented Myanmar Timber Legality Assurance System Gap Analysis Project. Myanmar Forest Certification Committee is collaborative with program for endorsement of forest certification from 2017 to 2020 with a project working in partnership to bring sustainable management to Myanmar forests. Through the project, Myanmar Forest Certification Committee constituted independent third-party certification bodies and conducted the soft launching of Myanmar Timber Legality Assurance System and certification bodies. Through the project, MFCC develops Myanmar Forest Certification Committee system documentation, including policy, procedures, and standards. In 2018, MFCC reorganized periodically according to the constitution of Myanmar Forest Certification Committee. In 2019, MFCC became a PEFC 51 national member. In 2020, MFCC submitted set of technical documentation of Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme to achieve the endorsement from Program for Endorsement of Forest Certification as the first time. In addition, MFCC-PEFC project is successfully accomplished in 2020. According to the constitution of Myanmar Forest Certification Committee, MFCC reorganized periodically and it was done in 2021. So this is the chronology of Myanmar Forest Certification Committee from 1998 to 2021. Now, this slide is the composition of stakeholders of Myanmar Certification Committee and Myanmar Forest Certification Committee. All are voluntary and the members are representatives from Forest Department and Inland Department, retired person, non-government organization, private sector, civil society organization, and others. Myanmar Forest Certification Committee is the only organization which is to deliver sustainable forest management and timber legality certification in Myanmar, and also to support and coordinate standard setting processes of sustainable forest management and timber legality certification standards in Myanmar, and also promote access to international markets for timber supply chain. Now, I would like to present the organizational chart of Myanmar Forest Certification Committee. With the leading of the Myanmar Forest Certification Committee Chairman, members, and Secretary, MFCC is now implementing the project focusing on sustainable forest management and national forest certification system. In the implementation of the project CEO and project management team, including forest management technical officer, communication and business officer, system development officer, supply chain verification technical officer, administration and finance officer, who are working together according to the work plans of the projects to reach the project goals. There are one certification system and one scheme in Myanmar Forest Certification Committee. They are Myanmar Timber Legality Assurance System for timber for demand legality certification, and Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme for Sustainable Forest Management Certification. So if you want to know more information about Myanmar Forest Certification Committee and its project, there are different channels, including MFCC website, Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. And if you want to know any information about Myanmar Forest Certification Committee, you can send questions on our organization emails, info@myanmarforestcertification.org. Now let's move to the third part of my presentation, standard development of Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme. Myanmar Forest Certification Committee is the national governing body of the forest and timber certification schemes in Myanmar. In addition, according to the standard setting policy of Myanmar Forest Certification Committee, it is also standardization body for the development of certification standards. Before presenting the standard setting activities of Sustainable Forest Management Standard, I would like to present the MFCC-PEFC project first. MFCC is collaborated with Program for Endorsement of Forest Certification with the project working in partnership to bring sustainable management to Myanmar forests from May 2017 to April 2020 with the funding of Prince Albertus of Monaco Foundation. There are 4 strategic goals in MFCC-PEFC project. One of the project is focused on delivery in Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme. So through the project, MFCC focus on delivery in Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme, as well as developing the standards, including Sustainable Forest Management Standard, Group Forest Management Standard, and Chain Custody Standard. Through the project, MFCC developed technical documentation related with Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme. The implementation of Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme is guided by the technical documentation of policy, procedures, and standards. So I provide a list of the technical documentation of policy and procedure and standards, and they are, the first one is Myanmar Forest Certification Committee Implementation Enrichment Policy, which is developed based on the PEFC Chain of Custody of Forest-Based Products requirements. And the next one is Myanmar Forest Certification Committee Guiding Principles, and the next one is Myanmar Forest Certification Committee Standard Setting Policy, which is developed based on the PEFC Standard Setting requirements. Basically, this is the document that we use to guide the standard setting process for the development of the standard. And the next one is stakeholder engagement and public documents. And the next one is notification of certification bodies for Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme. And the next one is complaints, appeals, and disputes of Myanmar Forest Certification Committee. And the next one is accreditation and certification body requirements for Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme. And it also developed based on the PEFC requirements for certification bodies, operating certification against the PEFC International Chain of Custody Standard and PEFC Chain of Custody of Forest-Based Product requirements. And the next one is PEFC local usage license by Myanmar Forest Certification Committee, and it also developed based on the PEFC requirements, including chain of custody of forest-based products, administration of PEFC scheme, PEFC local usage rules, and issuance of PEFC local usage license by the PEFC Council. And then another one is Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme treatment usage requirements, and it also developed based on the PEFC local usage rules requirements. So these are the policy and procedures of Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme. In addition, there are 3 standards in our Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme. The first one is Sustainable Forest Management Standard, which is called Myanmar Criteria and Indicator for Forest Management Certification. And it also developed based on the PEFC Sustainable Forest Management requirements. We will use this standard for the certification of forest management, including natural forest, plantation, trailside forest, community forestry, and rubber. And the next one is Group Forest Management Standard, and it is adapted to PEFC Group Forest Management Certification requirements, and we will be use this standard for smallholders. And the next one is Chain of Custody of Forest and Tree-Based Products requirements, and it is fully adapted to PEFC, Geographic Study of Forest, and tree-based protest requirements. So you can find all the policy, procedures, and standards on our website, www.mfcc.org.mm. So I know that, I understand that the public stakeholder consultation is go until 14 October. So you have lots of time to look at our policy, standards, and procedures. And if you have any question, feel free to ask PEFC or Myanmar Forest Certification Committee. Before MFCC-PEFC project, our Sustainable Forest Management Standard is in draft stage. So I would like to present the chronology of Sustainable Forest Management Standard study from 1996 to 2017. Myanmar is a producer member of International Tropical Timber Organization since 1995 to conserve the sustainability of forests. When NDTO developed its criteria indicators in 1992, Myanmar criteria and indicator for neutral forests at the national and forest management unit levels have been developed based on NDTO criteria indicator in 1996. When NDTO reviewed and revised its criteria indicator in 1998, Myanmar criteria indicator for neutral forests at the national and forest management unit level have been reviewed and revised based on NDTO criteria indicators in 1998. In addition, the Myanmar Certification Committee Myanmar was found to consider the sustainability of forests in 1998. When NDTO developed clear criteria and indicators in 2005, Myanmar also reviewed and revised its criteria indicator for neutral forests at the forest management unit level in 2007. In 2013, the Myanmar Certification Committee Myanmar was renamed into Myanmar Forest Certification Committee. So 2015, Myanmar Forest Certification Committee hired the consultant and revised criteria indicator for neutral forests as the draft and developed the first draft for the plantation forest management standard. In 2016, MFCC submitted the neutral forest and plantation forest management standard in national consultative meeting, and it is approved as first draft of 2015. In 2017, MFCC conducted the field testing of neutral forest and plantation forest management standard in 3 districts. So in addition to that, I would like to say our Sustainable Forest Management Standard is in draft state before MFCC-PEFC project. So there is the chronology of Sustainable Forest Management Standard study from 1996 to 2017 before MFCC-PEFC project. So our Sustainable Forest Management Standard is in draft stage, and through the project, MFCC developed standard setting policy. So MFCC follow the standard setting process of standard setting policy to approve the Sustainable Forest Management Standard. The standard setting process includes standard proposal, stakeholder mapping, public announcements and evaluation, constitution of working group, draft stage, consultation and pilot testing, public processes and approval and publication stage. So this figure is the overview of the standard setting processes of standard setting policy. So according to the standard setting policy, MFCC follow the standard setting process, and there are 8 steps to approve the Sustainable Forest Management Standard. The step 1 is public stakeholder consultation announcement. The original announcement of public stakeholder consultation is the seminar, project update for stakeholders, and introduction of PEFC geographic study. The timeline for public stakeholder consultation is 13 April to 30 June 2019. And the objective is to approve sustainable draft standard and to strengthen national forest certification system in Myanmar. The step 2 is stakeholder mapping and engagement. MFCC identified stakeholder categories based on the Agenda 21 of United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. And MFCC connected all the efforts to reach all stakeholder categories using emails and MailChimp to email the request data to inline government departments and disadvantaged stakeholders for the public stakeholder consultation. So MFCC invited the stakeholders for the public stakeholder consultation from MFCC website www.mfcc.org.mm and by using the social media platform, Facebook page, and by using Meetings and Gmail to invite the official request letter to inline government departments. In addition, MFCC invited the disadvantaged stakeholder through the Regional and Community Forestry Training Center, which is INGO, and Promotion of Indigenous and Nature Together, which is NGO, and Nature Development Foundation, which is also NGO, Community Forestry National Working Group, and GFRA program to receive the comments from public stakeholder consultation. So MFCC identified stakeholder categories based on the Agenda 21 of United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. So the stakeholder categories of Myanmar Forest Certification Committees are forest owner, forestry-related industry enterprise, line departments, NGOs, civil monetary organization, CSO private sector, operator retailers, donors, and supply chain partners. So these are the some of the logos of stakeholder categories of Myanmar Forest Certification Committee. So this table is the list of comments from public stakeholder consultation. After public stakeholder consultation, MFCC received the comments from the 10 stakeholder organizations, including Forest Department, inline departments, NGO, INGO, CSO, and also private sector. So this table is the list of comments received from public stakeholder consultation. Now I would like to present the summary of comment reviews and revised timeline. After receiving the comments and suggestions from public stakeholder consultation, MFCC constituted sub-working group and connected the sub-working group meetings to review the comments and suggestions from public stakeholder consultation in 2019. And after that, MFCC found a technical working group to approve the outcomes of sub-working group meetings and comments and suggestions from public stakeholder consultation in 2019. Between 2019 and 2020, MFCC conducted Myanmar Forest Certification Committee meetings to approve the outcomes and decision of technical working group, sub-working group meetings, and comments and suggestions of public stakeholder consultation. But finally, on 19 June 2020, Myanmar Criteria and Indicator for Forest Management Certification Standard is approved by the statewide confirmation of the comments by sub-working group meetings, technical working group meetings, and Myanmar Forest Certification Committee meetings. So for the acknowledgement of the comments, we have already uploaded the acknowledgement of the comments on our website, www.mfcc.org.mm. The step 3 is constitution of sub-working group and connecting the sub-working group meetings. MFCC found sub-working group with the expertise of forest management, timber enterprise, and also environment to develop the challenge for sustainable forest management standard for the issues concerned with the Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme and Myanmar Timber Legality Assurance System in 18 July 2019. MFCC conducted sub-working group meetings to review and discuss the comments received from public stakeholder consultation and submitted the outcomes to the technical working group. And the next step 4 is constitution of technical working group and connecting the technical working group meetings. MFCC found the technical working group meeting with the 10 stakeholders with equal representation of forest management, timber enterprise, research and innovation, environment, CSO, and also trade and market to provide support for system documentation, issue concerned with Myanmar Timber Legality Assurance System and Myanmar Forest Certification Scheme Standards in 21st March 2019. MFCC held technical working group meeting to approve the outcomes of sub-working group meetings and discuss based on the comments and suggestions of public stakeholder consultation. And the next step is Myanmar Forest Certification Committee meetings. MFCC conducted Myanmar Forest Certification Committee meetings for several times between 2019 and 2020 for statewide confirmation of the decision from technical working group and sub-working group meetings, and the important issue concerned with the cut-off date and justified circumstance, which are the comments received from public stakeholder consultation. And the status is approved by National Governing Body. After approving the comments and suggestion by statewide confirmation of sub-working group, technical working group, and Myanmar Forest Certification Committee meeting, MFCC approved a Myanmar criteria indicator for forest management certification standard on 19 June 2020 as the national governing body according to Myanmar Forest Certification Committee standard setting policy. Now, I would like to present our Sustainable Forest Management Standard, Myanmar criteria and indicator for forest management certification standard. Before public stakeholder consultation, we have two standards, neutral forest and plantation forest management standards. According to one of the comments of public stakeholder consultation, we combine two standards as one standard, Myanmar criteria indicator for forest management certification standard, and it comprises 11 principles, 64 criteria, and 124 indicators. Now, I would like to present our 11 principles of Sustainable Forest Management Standard. Principle 1 is compliance with laws and principles. Principle 2 is tenure and rights and responsibilities. Principle 3 is local indigenous people rights. Principle 4 is community relations and worker rights. And principle 5 is benefits from the forest. Principle 6 is environmental impact. Principle 7 is management plan. And principle 8 is monitoring and assessment. Principle 9 is maintenance of high conservation value forests. And principle 10 is internal audit, management review, and continuous improvement of the system. And principle 11 is plantation development. The scope of our standard is for neutral forest, plantation, tree outside forest, community forestry, and robot. And it is a short introduction of the standards. And if you want to know the whole standards, you can study and you can enter our MFCC website, www.mfcc.org. In our new standard, we have a little changes and addition in our new standard according to comments of the public stakeholder consultation and PEFC Sustainable Forest Management requirements. The Sustainable Forest Management standards are conversion of forest to other types of land use and justified circumstances, and conversion of ecologically important forest area to forest plantation and its justified circumstances, and conversion of severely degraded forest to forest plantation and its justified circumstances. And MFCC adopt PEFC cutoff date 31st December 2010. And MFCC adds a new principle, Principle 10, interpretation for internal for forest management certification standard. And the step 7 is final testing of the draft version of the standard. The objectives of the standards are to test the auditability, relevance, and adaptability of the draft standards, and to develop specific verifiers for the forest management unit levels, plantation, and community forestry, and to provide Myanmar Forest Certification Committee with a comprehensive report during MFCC-PEFC project. Final project areas are selected according to the statewide confirmation of sub-working group, technical working group, and Myanmar Forest Certification Committee meetings. The final project areas are for community forestry, neutral forest, state plantations, and private plantations. MFCC team conducted the preliminary assessment to private plantation area to see the draft version of Sustainable Forest Management Standard in October 2019. And the assessment finding results was 80% compliant with the draft version of the standard, but mostly on documentation. Currently, MFCC is now developing the checklist audit file based on the final results of the preliminary assessment of private plantation areas. In addition, MFCC team conducted preliminary observation to other pilot project area, community forestry in February 2020, and state-owned plantation in July 2020. In addition, MFCC team explained the pilot testing for using the Sustainable Forest Management Standard to the representatives of pilot project areas of community forestry and state-owned plantations. Now, the last stage is publication stage of Sustainable Forest Management Standard. Myanmar criteria indicator for forest management certification standards was approved on 19 June 2020, and after that, MFCC issued and uploaded on MFCC website www.mfcc.org.mm on August 21st, 2020. During an extraordinary event, COVID-19 pandemic, MFCC faced travel restriction to the pilot project areas. So MFCC conducted video conferencing meetings with the representatives of the project area for neutral forest, state-owned and private plantation between May 2020 to January 2021 to assess the auditability of Myanmar criteria indicator for forest management certification checklist audit file. Currently, MFCC is now developing the Myanmar criteria indicator for forest management certification checklist audit file based on the results of virtual meetings with pilot project areas. As I mentioned in my previous slide, there are 3 standards in our Myanmar forest certification scheme, and I have already explained the standard setting processes of Sustainable Forest Management Standard. Now let me explain the Group Forest Management Standard. Group Forest Management Standard is adapted to PEFC, Group Forest Management Requirements, on 26 January 2021. And this standard will be necessary modification according to Myanmar policy, procedures, and laws related to standard development and situation of the country. And the next standard is Chain Custody Standards. And our Chain Custody Standard is fully adopted to PEFC, Chain Custody of Forest and Tree-Based Project Requirements, on 26 January 2021. And this standard will also be necessary modification according to Myanmar laws, policies, and procedure related to standard development and situations of our country. So thank you for your interest and attention. And if you have any comments or any questions, me and my team will be happy to answer your questions, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, May, for this very detailed presentation. I think it was very valuable to share with all the participants this long journey from 1998. So that's really a long way to go, but we are all glad that it finally came to this point where we can discuss it. I think, May, you can now stop sharing your screen and thank you. And now we have time to have questions. If there is somebody who would like to ask questions, I would just kindly recall what also May mentioned, that the complete documentation is available online. So I would like to ask you to focus on clarification questions, if any. So the floor is open for questions. Please raise your hand. Yes, please. I see a question from, please introduce yourself before asking the question. Thank you.
My name is Kwame Asumedu from Australia. I'd like to find out if in your standard, I mean, you've got the criteria and then you've got the indicators. Do you include verifiers to guide the auditors?
Yes, thank you for your questions. And yes, we in our standard, well, the standards include criteria and indicators, but in the checklist audit file, we have already included criteria, indicators, and specific verifiers.
Thank you very much, both for the questions, for the clear answer from May. Is there maybe anybody else who would like to have a clarification question? I'm not surprised if there's no more questions, because I think the presentation was very detailed and very informative. But I see someone.
Yes.
Yes, please go ahead.
I do. This is Tint. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. I'm joining from Canberra, from Australia. I just want to check a little bit more, because this is a very hardworking from this committee for many years. So congratulations to all the members of the committee. And I just want to check a little bit more for the next step. You know, especially to the PEFC Secretariat. This question will be very specific to you. There can be a lot of the challenges to move this forward with the current political setting in Myanmar, and especially the recognition of the donors and the recognition of the customers, especially in the Europe market and as well as the Western market. You know, what sort of preparation that you are thinking for the timing? What sort of implication you have given the current the situation of the political landscape in Myanmar, and what sort of the assistance you may need from international organization like us, you know, to contribute to this kind of the process. Just want to check for the next step. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much for this question. What I can tell you is now that, as it was emphasized, this important milestone in the process, that the complete documentation is now available for technical assessment. So having said this, we will focus now in the next upcoming months. I think it will even stretch beyond this year to see whether the documentation is adequate enough to get the endorsement, or is there any additional amendments or modifications are needed. So I think for us, the next step is really to get a close eye on the complete set of documentation to see and to make sure with 100% it complies with all these internationally accepted benchmark standards. And once we have this at hand, then I think that from that point onwards, we will see what the next year brings and what kind of opportunities and maybe associated challenges we have to see how this will be implemented. But if I could tell you that how the world will look like in a year from now, I probably wouldn't sitting here. So, but that's something what I can share with you, that for the very next steps, our focus and attention will be put onto the documentation to make sure that it's compliant fully with all the requirements what we have in the international benchmark and the international standards. Thank you. Is there maybe anybody else who would like to have a question for the audience? If not, then I would like to thank again for everybody from the Myanmar Forest Certification Committee who was with us today and shared all these important details about the process, and also the very important part, the outcome of the process with the participants, especially to Barbara Chow, Lin Lang, and Mei Xiong Po. I'm very sorry if I pronounced your name not really correctly, but once we will meet more, then I will learn better. So thank you very much again. And with this, I would like to wish you a nice rest of the day and all the best.
Yeah. Okay.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hupat. Also, thank you for all participants. Also, Dr. Lin Lang, also, I appreciate your advice. I think I will need your help. Yeah, I will need your help to get the international support, because I also, this is always a question cross my mind almost all the time. Yeah. So as Hupat already explained to you, for the moment, we are going to concentrate on the technical portion. Yeah. After that, the implication will come definitely. Yeah. So yes. for this time and will need your help, Dr. Deng.
Let's see. I will keep it in my mind all the time anyway.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Also, Mr. Asumadu, also, if you have any suggestion or advice, please let us know. We are going to, and we will be very delighted to appreciate your advice too.
Thank you very much again, and have a good rest of the day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye now. Thanks.
Bye.